Right, so it is day 28, which means it's time for our weekly review. It's been a scorcher, so let's get on with it. Okay, so day one's Pachira glabra, looking pretty healthy. Nice new growth. Still some tilt on the Dracaenas, and the aloe still a little red, and very red in some cases. Day two's Gmelina, very healthy, some new growth. Calico healthy, the aloe seeming fairly perky. All five showing good, healthy tops. Day three's Bauhinia. Original largest plantings sunburnt, but with some new growth coming, which is promising. Smaller plants looking fairly healthy. Dracaenas, despite the sunburn, definitely starting to stand more upright. Significant new growth on the second of the sunburned larger Bauhinias. Day 4's Alloneriensis, now in full flower. Our flower's not open yet, but very bright. The palm itself looking healthy. There's maybe some new growth, but not major new growth yet. Generally happy. Day 5 Syzygium, or waterberries. Definite texture returning to the leaves of some of them. No sign of any new growth, maybe a small meristem there. The aloes, Aloe Cameroni, coming into flower as is usual when stressed. Definitely some life there. The smallest is actually still clinging on despite my expectations. The Rauvolfia from day 6. Definitely showing some improvements, some new growth on the branch tips. A little bit of water stress still evident in the older leaves, but with new growth, I'm happy. Day 7's Bambusa, looking very much the same as last week. Some new growth, a little bit distorted by this dead grass next to it. Some dieback, but also some definite new growth. The smaller of the two, overall definitely looking the healthier, but generally happy both. Day 8 Syagrus, definitely looking perky. New growth on both, which is good. Day 9's Brachystegia, showing some definite growth, just here. Succulents generally perky, and the Dracaena still somewhat flopped and a little sunburnt. Trichilia, almost Kili, a little bit of new growth. The unhappy one, still with some life, but very much unhappy and no sign of new growth. Definitely still a green stem though. This one's still happy, so it's definitely appropriate to count as 2, I think. Day 10's Thaumatophyllum, or tree philodendron. Looking generally quite happy, as yet unmolested by the chickens despite its location. I'm happy with this, the leaves feel a good texture, they look a good colour, and there's some new ones coming. Phoenix from day 11, so showing some new growth. The Dracaena generally perkier than it was. Jacaranda 1 suffering a little in this heat, otherwise fine. Jacaranda 2 looking a little better, but still a little heat stressed. Thespesia is still very much alive. This is the tree hibiscus, which I thought I'd lost. Some sign of new growth on the tulip tree or African flame tree. And the third Jacaranda definitely looking healthy. Dombeya from day 12. New growth is looking strong and healthy. Texture of the leaves is good. Overall, I'm happy. Day 13's Moringa. Fantastic new growth. Generally speaking, looking very healthy. Very happy with that. Fig from day 14, showing better texture on the leaves than it was. Stalk-eye fly. New growth from the mango of day 14 has turned green, looks healthy. Pachira from day 15 is looking healthy, no new growth yet, maybe a slight suggestion thereof. New growth on the second one. Some fairly robust new growth on the third. The dracaenas are starting to stand up a bit. Day 16's bay laurel, looking healthy with a little bit of new growth. Day 17's rough lemons, citrus chambiri, looking beautifully green. And this one, yucca also looking healthy, and ginger bush starting to perk up a bit. Second lemon tree definitely joining in the bright green, looking a little bleached out on the camera, but it's really green for the most part. The Thorn of Christ, very happy of course. The dracaena very happy, and a little bit of improvement on the citrus bush, ginger bush, sorry. So day 18 was the tamarind. Looking much the same as last week. No major new growth, a little bit over here. Its leaves were good and open yesterday when it was quite wet, but yeah, it's quite hot right now, so it's going to be saving water. Jade bush still very thin leaved, definitely hasn't fully rooted yet. Day 19 Bauhinia petersiana. Was definitely improving, suffering a little in the heat, closing its leaves a bit, but generally seems healthy. I'd like it a little bit less sun stressed, but hopefully it'll settle in. Day 20, Dovyalis, the Kai apple, for which I will not be saying the other part of the name. Got a little bit of new growth. Leaves are generally healthy. The Pachira Saloa has decided it's going to have a lie down, but that will perk back up with time. These will root through their pots and into the soil, so they are very, very good at righting themselves with time. The dracaena isn't looking much straighter than it was, and generally speaking, I think we're happy here. The Thespesia from day 21, which we're calling a tree hibiscus, Thespesia garciana, does have an edible fruit, but we're not naming it, is looking reasonably healthy. No new growth as yet, but the leaves are of good texture, and it seems well settled. Round 3 The Pachiras from day 22, I guess. Looking healthy, no new growth yet. Very tumbled Dracaena, but not actually very wilted, just wet soil. It's tilted somewhat. Second one again, looking very healthy, a little bit of, can't know if you can see that, new growth coming up just by the aloe here. And the third one, yeah, again we've got some decent new growth coming there. Okay. Australian tea tree, Melaleuca, is looking pretty happy with itself. Some nice light green new growth. The curio that I planted with that is actually looking pretty healthy. It will for now, it's when it dries out I'm going to be a bit worried. And although it's flopped a little bit, fairly sure the aloe will perk up in time. It hasn't really changed colour yet. Okay. And the giant Chiflera from day 24, which should be Heptapleurum actinophilum. Seems like it was a good choice for here. The leaves have turned a little, but that might be from when it was leaning in the pot. I'm not convinced that's from the light in here. But yeah, if it's not bleaching from being in here, it will be fine once it dries out and we have more sun. Generally, the aloe is not complaining visibly. The calico is looking a little water stressed. But overall, happy with that. Soursop, Annona muricata, seems reasonably happy, no change in the texture of the leaves. Doesn't seem to really be bothered by the replanting, so good. Hopefully that's not stressed at all, and it will continue to hold the new growth that it already had in the pot and grow. Companion plants so far, yeah, they just look like they've been shoved in the ground. They will perk up hopefully with time. Macadamia, which I'm actually not convinced which species it is. Perfectly happy, no sign of sunburn, which is usually the major concern with these. Its position should protect it from the worst of that. Maybe a little bit, but I think that's more likely damage from any chemicals that might have been used in the nursery. But generally speaking, quite healthy. The new growth is not bleached in any way, so hopefully that will continue to come up as if it hadn't been replanted. Day 27, finally. Our little ghost tree is a little bit water stressed, nothing too major. These trees do like a drier environment than we have here generally, so I'm not too concerned, but hopefully it'll settle in without trouble. It is a hot day today, so a lot of things will be looking more wilted than they might have done yesterday. Let's check the Pachira that went in with it. Not too troubled. Quite perky still, and yeah, no sign of sunburn, quite happy and healthy, and hopefully now that it's not under the shade of its parent, it'll become a much straighter, more tree-like tree. Right, so I will actually be recording the planting of today's planting separately because that has wiped out the battery of my camcorder. So in future I'll probably going to do this geographically, so I'll do the ones that are next to each other, so I won't be having all this back and forth, just to save battery if nothing else. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so there should be another video going up today which will be today's planting, and so please watch that one if you are interested in that. And I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, I'm quite pleased to see everything seems to be at the very least alive. So